Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron Larson, Executive Editor of Power Magazine, and then today I'm joined by our senior editors, Darrell, Proctor, and Sonal Patel, and we're going to be previewing the August issue of Power Magazine. Articles that we're focused on in this issue are the Grid Awards, which we present every year and highlight in the August issue. The first award that I'm going to touch on is the Distributed Energy Award, which was given to a project in Graciosa Island, which is about 1,000 miles offshore of Portugal. And it was a Wärtsilä energy storage project that was really interesting because it enabled a lot of renewable energy to be incorporated into the island grid. And it was really important for the island because they had previously relied heavily on diesel fuel generation. And now with this hybrid renewable power plant that they installed, they were able to integrate a megawatt of solar and 4.5 megawatts of wind power, along with a 6 megawatt and 3.2 megawatt hour energy storage system that was supplied by Wärtsilä. The project allowed the island basically to have a 61% renewable energy penetration over the year 2024 and actually operate for 139 days entirely on renewables only. So that's quite an amazing accomplishment from an island that used to rely so heavily on diesel to have 139 complete days of operating on renewables only. The GEMS digital energy platform that Wärtsilä supplies allows individual asset control and system balancing. So it's really a unique solution that is very important for islands and other microgrid type situations. Next on our list, Darrell, I'll let you talk about the project you wrote about, which was the Commercial and Industrial Generation Award.
Thanks, Aaron. This is a Bryn Miller Energy project in collaboration with the New York Power Authority. They connected a BGen Zero thermal energy storage unit to a combined heat and power system at the State University of New York's Purchase campus. The new system meets almost all of the campus physical education building's heating needs and about half of its electricity needs. Also significantly enhances energy efficiency and supports a reduction in carbon emissions. We're seeing a lot of these C&I type projects on college campuses as they upgrade older energy systems that they have, say for the physical plant or even for individual buildings, which was the case here. Key things to with regard to this particular Bryn Miller Energy project, again, boost the building's energy efficiency, provide significant savings on its annual energy costs and greenhouse gas emissions. It's a decentralized system ensuring uninterrupted heating during periods of peak demand, and also supports the building's ability to provide essential services. It's a hybrid design, allowing the thermal energy storage, again, to satisfy 100% of the demand by using embedded heaters, and also exceeds exhaust gas and storage capacity. So SUNY, State University of New York at Purchase, very happy with this. Bryn Miller is also looking at installing this type of system in other projects worldwide.
All right, thanks, Darrell. And Sonal, I'll turn it over to you for the Smart Grid Award.
Sure. So for our top plant feature, focused on something that we don't see very often, and that's a utility going out and solving a grid reliability crisis without adding a single new asset. And then this year's award goes to K Electric, the private utility serving Karachi, which is Pakistan's largest city. KE's problem was that it was facing this incredibly explosive load growth because of population growth and aging. It was facing, at the same time, aging infrastructure and limited visibility into the national grid. So essentially, they had to come up with a solution to meet surging demand without time, budget, or physical space for new infrastructure. And so they got really creative. They engineered a special protection system built entirely in-house, and that let them dynamically shed load to prevent cascading outages. It's fast, adaptive, and critically, it doubled Karachi's power import capability by adding more than 600 megawatts without spending a single rupee on new capex. So the solution is that they repurpose an existing SCADA protection relays and the telecom infrastructure, and they overcame limited upstream data access with logic that could infer system risk in real time, and they deployed the whole thing in just 9 months. So the story is really about ingenuity and how it can buy time. I think something that every grid operator really needs right now, because utilities are facing demand surging, permitting delays, equipment constraints. I think it really showcases how you can do more with what you already have.
All right, thanks, Sonal. And next on the list, I've got the T&D Award, Transmission and Distribution. And this went to a Great River Energy project, which is a cooperative in Minnesota in conjunction or collaboration with Heimdall Power. And it's a dynamic line rating project. And most people in our audience probably know that dynamic line ratings basically allow continuous monitoring of the actual weather conditions and conductor temperatures, which can then allow more transmission to be utilized and pushed through lines than they may have originally been conservatively designed for. So this is really important to allow more transmission to be utilized in certain situations, depending on the weather and conductor temperatures, as I said. In this case, this was the largest U.S.-based DLR project based on the number of sensors that were deployed. They started with a pilot project, and they identified about a 48.9% increase of availability to utilize these lines. So it was really kind of a no-brainer to move forward with the full project, and they've been very happy they were able to do this without taking the lines out of service. They used drones in this project to install the Heimdall equipment, and it really turned out to be a great solution for what Great River Energy was trying to do here. With that, I'll turn it back to Darrell for the Energy Storage Award.
Thanks for that, Aaron. The Energy Storage Award went to a project in Scotland, a 200 megawatt, 400 megawatt hour energy storage system provided by Wärtsilä to owner and operator Zenobē in Blackhillock, Scotland, entered commercial operation earlier this year. Zenobē is a grid-scale battery storage specialist. The project is primarily designed to store excess power from several offshore wind farms in the North Sea, and then they're going to disseminate that power across Scotland and also other parts of the UK. It works primarily, there are 3 large offshore wind farms in the North Sea that are basically attached to this project. Zenobē said the system will assist grid operators in managing challenges related to balancing supply and demand, power stability, and constraints along the grid. It's an innovative project. The UK's National Energy Storage System Operator says it's the first battery energy storage system to provide both true kinetic inertia and short circuit current at scale to NESO, again, the National Energy System Operator. We'll be keeping an eye on this project. It uses Wärtsilä's quantum battery energy storage system along with the GEMS digital energy platform. So some innovative technology. And in terms of making better utilization of offshore wind, this project certainly is designed to do that.
All right. Thanks, Darrell. And some other features that we've got in this issue. We've got one on improving the efficiency of power plant cooling ponds. That is an interesting article that allows installation of some floating pond cooling apparatuses. So that's interesting to check out. We've also got an article that's about creating a living asset, the role of AI-enhanced digital twins in autonomous operations. That was submitted by Aviva. And we've got a safety article, which is focused on how digital tools are transforming safety compliance, as well as a waste to energy, which is about how biogas is solving data center clean energy challenges. In the commentary section, there's an article about domestic power burn and how it has driven natural gas price volatility, which is really interesting. That was submitted by PA Consulting and a couple of their experts. In the Global Monitor section, Sonal, you wrote an article that talks about emissions. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I looked at how emissions policies are evolving or backsliding across the US, the European Union, China, and India and Japan. And the big takeaway is that carbon dominates the headlines today, but the other pollutants, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, and mercury are really still have enormous consequences for health and operational attributes. So in the US, what we've seen is this sharp regulatory reversal. We know that the EPA has proposed repealing both the Biden era carbon rules and strengthen MATS standards, and the MATS standards that the Biden administration had strengthened. And so what that means is looser mercury and particulate controls, and it's already creating a little bit of planning uncertainty for generators, particularly with those with long-term CCS or SEMS investments. And in the EU, it seems like they're going in the opposite way. They've revised the Industrial Emissions Directive, reinforcing rules and pushing real-time mercury monitoring and digital reporting. And China is also scaling up its carbon capture and ammonia co-firing efforts and has an ultra-clean policy in place. And then India just walked back its sulfur dioxide retrofits after years of mandates and billions in flue gas desulfurization contracts. And I think the reason that this story really will matter is that emissions policy isn't just about targets. It just shapes what gets built and what gets retrofitted, what gets left behind. And for power producers, it's about really going and trying to steer through these uneven global rules, the technology life cycles, the cost pressures, and policy, including what happens after an election or court ruling.
All right, thanks, Sonal. And Darrell, you for Global Monitor wrote about a Luxembourg group that's doing some work. Can you touch on that?
Sure, Aaron. So Kilowatt, which has been around for a little more than a decade, it's a joint venture between Lux Energy and Groupe Francois, operates a tri-generation facility in Bissen, Luxembourg. The plant utilizes 42,000 tons of what they call end-of-life wood each year to produce about 24 gigawatt hours of green electricity. They're calling their data center DC2. They say it's the first green data center in the world. And they said it's one of the only examples in Europe where digital infrastructure is being powered and cooled by locally sourced waste-derived energy in this way. Lux Connect, their mantra is energy efficiency. They say DC2 is the company's most significant example of this. They produce cold with heat, and that's possible thanks to two absorption chillers, which are fed by superheated water from the cogeneration plant, which is literally located across the road from the DC2 site. Cold water is transported via an underground network to the data center. The electricity they're producing not only is helping the data center, it's also helping the surrounding community. And the Lux Connect data center perhaps will offer a look into, or perhaps a model for other such installations globally. That's what they're really looking at here. But for the meantime, they're building it out in Luxembourg and hoping that this can spread at least regionally, if not worldwide.
All right, thanks, Darrell. In the Focus on O&M section this month, we've got a couple of articles, one on combustion damper seizing issues and how to solve them, and another on how centralized data platforms are reshaping solar portfolio management. So don't miss those. There's also a legal and regulatory article on nuclear power and how it's a critical pillar for U.S. economic growth and national security. And then in the big picture, Sonal, you added a look at India's energy. Can you talk a little bit about the graphic you put together there?
Absolutely. I love doing these graphics because it really gives you a chance to really dive deep into the data and understand some of the nuances. This one specifically came from a government report, and the big picture is the Sankey diagram that maps the entire India's entire energy system from supply to end use. And, despite major policy pushes, renewables expansions, decarbonization plans, the system is still dominated by fossil fuels. Coal is supplying 58% of total primary energy, and nearly 70% of that coal is going straight to the power sector. And, that is paired with heavy dependence on imported crude oil and modest progress on gas power. Shows how structurally complex the carbon-intensive system still is. The consumption side is very interesting to me. The industrial sector absorbs more than 50% of final energy use. The transport and residential demand are also rising, but electrification and transport still is a bit limited. Petroleum is still doing most of the heavy lifting. I think what really stands out is the flow of what's lost. I think with all Sankey diagrams that show this type of thing, including in the US, transmission and distribution losses, auxiliary consumption, and inefficiencies in how the energy is transformed and used. And so for a country like India, which is balancing economic growth and energy security, I think that visibility is going to be everything.
All right. Thanks, Sonal. And last, I'll touch on my Speaking of Power column, which is on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and its effect and what it means to the power industry. And it will have a big effect on solar and wind in particular, as they're expecting about $500 billion less to be invested in the sector as a result of the actions taken by the bill. The things that didn't necessarily take a hit were nuclear power and geothermal. So they are still finding good incentives through the government. And I also touch a little bit on the foreign entities of concern stipulations and what they mean to the sector. So I hope people will check that out and gain some insight on what that bill means to the power industry. And with that, I hope you all check out the August issue. I think we've got a lot of great content in it. And also check out our new website. We've upgraded and updated our website. It's powermag.com, POWERMAG.com. And we've got a new look and a lot of new features on there that I think you're all going to like. So please check it out and follow us on social media. We're still doing a lot of posting on Facebook and X and also on LinkedIn, of course, because that's where a lot of power professionals choose to monitor social media. So again, for Sonal and Darrell, I want to thank you all for watching our video and look forward to enjoying the issue. Thanks.